We are live and in charge. Welcome back, people. This is A.P.T Songs and his boy Joe Hollywood. What's up, Joe?
Just
How
this
you doing?
once. Chilling. Just the world is getting crazy, my guy. Like we got a lot to talk about. I don't
Still trying to
understand.
come up with the name of the show. So I think you thought of one last time that was kind of cool. Go through the process of that. But yeah, man, there's a lot. You sent me some stuff today.
I mean, you ain't got to call me out about it. I just was paying attention to the news. You know what I'm saying?
Well, no, because I kind of knew what you were sending me, but I was like, I didn't really know the depths of it. And then as I started watching stuff, I was like, oh, this is why this is important to talk about. So
let me kind of give a little clarity here for those who don't know me. I'm a researcher. You know, I have my background in journalism. Have a degree, to be honest with you. So yeah, when I pick up a topic, I tend to go pretty deep into a topic. And not just like the topic itself, but like how does this apply globally to other things? How does this relate to other stuff that goes on? So there's gonna be some random things that come across my radar that I'm like, oh, let's go talk about this. And you're like, why are we talking about? So this may be one of those, because like the people that are involved, I don't know these cats. Like I don't follow them. I know they got millions of fans, but it's more the subject matter has been a recurring theme that we keep hearing, keep seeing. And that's where I'm like, bruh, why does this keep happening? Like, why do we keep seeing these situations? And the general narrative is, oh, toxic masculinity and men are trash and all that. And I'm like, it's got to be deeper than that. There's got to be more to it. And if that's the answer, how do we fix that? You see what I'm saying? Like, it can't just be men are evil. You know, like let's come up with a better plan, better solution, and just address it. Like.
Yeah. So before we get into that, I'll let you go into what is the topic? What are we talking about today? What is the situation that happened?
Okay, the situation is Jake Paul.
What is the alleged situation?
I'm just saying Jake Paul. That's all I know. Jake Paul. Okay. And then there's an accusation. Are we giving everybody a name? I guess she put her name out there.
Everybody's name, yes.
Justine Paradise.
Already scrolling down the bottom. So
yeah, I'm reading it from the bottom because Yeah. So I was minding my own business. This morning, scrolling through the gram, I see Hollywood Unlocked article, and I was like, accusation, what happened? Whatever. And I listened. I heard her tell her side of the story. She was like, look, this what happened. I'm calling this out. This is wrong. And I got to be real. Like, she was hella believable. Like, she's a very sympathetic testimonial. You know what I'm saying? You hear her. She's like, this what happened. It was terrible. And I'm so hurt. I'm so upset. And when you first listen, you're like, oh man, this sucks. Like, and then you hear like the depth of the accusation. Like basically what she described it wasn't like a date rape type of thing to me. It started out that way and then it went into like a vicious, brutal kind of thing. Like it was still like a sexual assault, but it wasn't like a normal, like, oh, he just, took it too far. We were already in position. Like it was on some like grabbing and forceful, like, yo, damn, like you really went all the way. Shit. Yeah. Like, I don't know how to.
So for those not in the know, basically the story that she told was that she had been going to Jake Paul's house. Oh yeah, we have to for the people that are watching. Yeah.
You could go listen to her story. It's a little graphic. It's a
20-minute video. So
is there an age limit on here?
The short version, and I'm gonna make sure I don't use any YouTube inappropriate words, that she'd been going to Jake Paul's house a lot. And there was one night where she went over there and he invited her up to the room. And she went up to the room. They were making out, at which point he wanted to do more physical stuff. She was like, I don't want to go that far. We can just get back to making out. At which point he was like, well, then what's the freaking point? And then she alleges that he grabbed her head and then proceeded to make her give oral pleasure to him. And then after he was done, then they left the room and she didn't say anything about it. And
I just got to clarify one thing, because the reason I was like, this was.
Oh, we're going through this whole thing because I have so many thoughts about this. It's insane. But yeah,
I'm gonna go ahead and shout him out because my man's RMP Kinpachi put out a video.
Okay.
I don't know if we're gonna link at the bottom, but you might want to hear his reaction to it because he brought up some very key elements. But the way her words, the way she described it, not just he grabbed her head. She was saying she was laying on her back. He mounted her. Yes. On top of her, grabbed her. I don't know. See, my background, I did a little martial arts in my day, right? A little jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
like how to deal with certain things. That is a very extreme level of to be on top of somebody physically, for one. Then two, the motion that would be necessary from that position to achieve this. I'm telling you, like, I'm picturing somebody screaming for their life at this level. Like you shouldn't be able to breathe from this physical positioning, which is I'm over here like, ow, oh.
Well, you know, it's funny. I was wondering
really?
because I want to preface everything I'm saying is that this is still an ongoing. It's not even a case. She didn't take it to the police. She just put it on YouTube because she wanted to embarrass them. But more, we'll get to that in a minute. But more to the point. So this is still alleged. Things are still coming out. So I don't want to. My official position is none. I don't know if he's all the way guilty. I don't know if she's all the way guilty. I'm saying none of that in this thing. Okay. What I am saying though is that based on the story she told, to your point, I'm thinking to myself, and this is just maybe a little too detailed, but like any man that has had that kind of pleasure from a woman's mouth, it is not as easy as people expect it to be to have a woman do that and then just like be able to orgasm into her mouth. Like she's making it sound like it just happened in 30 seconds. It was easy. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, realistically, usually a woman's mouth has to be actually doing some stuff in order to really get those motions. Because like it's a sucking motion, it's a moving motion of the jaws. It's having to get teeth out of the way.
So this is definitely an adult show is what we're telling me. This is a grown-up show, so I can take the filters off.
Well, I mean, I'm being unfiltered. I'm being PG-13 right now. But I'm also thinking
we're bordering R here. We're getting to R.
Oh my God. But also like, okay, just the way she's describing it. So he'd have to thrust into her in her face. For one, she'd have to actually like, so she's saying in her story, he takes the pants off and then he just comes at her. So her mouth was already open. I have questions. Secondly,
I can buy the, oh my God, like the shock factor for the initial.
Okay.
Like I'll give you that. Okay, cool. Or like the grabbing, like, okay.
Yeah.
So initially, but then my thing is continuing for the duration of, because then you're dealing with, if there's thrusting, we're dealing with like gagging. Potentially, which is
if you sit in the back of her throat, at some point it's going to choke and she's going to accidentally bite him, or something's going to happen. So I'm not saying that. So I'm not saying I don't. It's not that I'm saying I don't believe her story. I'm saying I need her to really give the proof, evidence of how this happened, and also up to your point, like if she's laying down on the flat on the bed, his torso has to be all the way up this way. How is he reaching now back? To be able to grab her head enough to be able, like there's the angles, there's the weight of it, there's like how he that wouldn't be a comfortable position to hold her in. Not that I'm saying I have an experience of doing this, but the point is like I'm again, if I'm going to believe your story, I need to know the details of how these angles worked out, of how this stuff actually situated itself to where you could not help but to let him finish off in your mouth. Like I need to know that before I believe your story. Is what I'm saying.
And to your earlier point, the quickness of said, like 30 seconds. Like I get the joke of, oh, men come too fast and all this, but it's like that's typically like a heightened state of arousal that a man is in, and I finally got to this moment. Oh my gosh, but this isn't like a pleasure-seeking moment. This is rape. Like this is not. I'm just trying to engage in this, beautiful act. This is it's a power scenario, basically, is what they've boiled it down to. Like psychologically, it's a power play thing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like let me just do this real quick and then we're gonna move on. Like I don't understand the dominating effect of I'm gonna do this thing 3.5 seconds and then okay, let's just go back to life like nothing happened. Like
right.
It just felt really weird to hear the whole thing, like I said, but when you're first listening, like to me, she comes off really kind of that young, innocent. I didn't know any better. And to be honest, that's a little more of what I really wanted to go into with this conversation.
Okay.
More so than like the mechanics of like, since we're going down this road, I wanted to, finish this part of it. Cause like I said, watching the reaction to it, he brought up these points and I was like, now that you mention it, that would be more than just like I can't imagine from her position how that would, you feel me? Like it's so intense. Cause here's the thing, like you said, it's not like, oh, I went to the police right after. And the thing I don't get that I feel like we lost. I'm kind of old school, I'm from another generation where stuff like that happened. I'm gonna call my big brother, I'm gonna call my uncle, I'm gonna call my cousin, like somebody I know who's protective of me is gonna come see you about this situation.
Yeah.
And her whole mindset was like, well, it was wrong and you shouldn't have done it. And I wanted to like talk to you about how that made me feel on the inside. And I want you to apologize to me. And I'm over here like, you just want an apology? Like all that you just said happened. Like I'm picturing, you know, somebody I care about. We about to catch a fade. Like you gonna see these hands. You did what to who? Are you serious right now? And you took it that far? Like, nah, son, we about to. Like, it's not gonna be one of those. Like, oh, I told him not to do it. Like, no, you can't talk me out of this. This is now another level of he got to understand what he did. Now it's not like, oh, I gotta kill this dude. But you gonna have some facial scarring after the. You know what I'm saying? You gonna remember when you see her. Like, oh no, I need to not. I'm gonna go the other way. You see what I'm saying? Like, right. Like, what happened to that element of it? Like, I get the whole, okay, I don't want to ruin his career. I don't want to like put nobody in jail.
She was saying she didn't even know who he really was. Like, she wasn't a follower like that. She was just kind of like, oh, it's a dude that does whatever. I don't really know him that well, but okay, fine.
But these are the pieces that don't
fit.
Gel. Like, I didn't know who he was, but I didn't want to ruin his career. And then it was like this brutal, violent assault happened. It wasn't like he touched me. I said no. It wasn't like, you know, he groped me a little too much. I don't want to. It was like full on. That is the most violent sexual act I can imagine, short of a weapon being placed on her. You know what I'm saying? Like that was
in your face. Yeah.
Like the physicality of it. It's like this dude thrusting on top of your face. Like you got to feel some pain after. I'm sorry. Like if this is my relative, you're gonna wake up and remember why your eye is black now. Like what? And my other point to this is like, I don't ever want somebody I know to be in a position like this where they feel that they couldn't get them off of them. Like regardless, size difference, weight difference, all the rest, there's things she could have done. Now, I'm not saying she should have, or, you know, it's her, none of that. I'm saying I want you to be aware of how to protect yourself in these type of scenarios. You know what I'm saying? Like there's people who I know and love out there who I've made sure were taught some specific things and who come back and be like, no, I was in a compromising scenario and I remember what you taught me and blah, blah, blah. They backed off. That's all I'm saying. Like,
nice.
If you my relative, I don't have to be there. You should never be in a position you don't want to be in.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to, because I was going to transition, but I don't know if you want to touch on this one more time first.
I definitely agree with what you're saying. And, you know, right now, like I said, this is allegations. This is all like alleged stuff. But I'm curious to know your thoughts on like her story comes out. And a lot of people typically when this happens is like they'll jump on the thing and for the most part be like, oh, this is terrible. It's horrible. How dare this is that. But without actually having the full understanding of if this is true or not. So how do you feel about people like whether you agree or disagree like about people come out and just automatically assuming that what she's saying is a correct story or believe or not believing it?
I think we're too busy trying to get on teams. Like everybody wants to be on this side or that side. And it's kind of like my biggest pet peeve with just every scenario where people aren't interested in what happened anymore. They aren't interested in the facts. They aren't interested in, you know, is there some sort of, you know, I used to hear there's your side, there's my side, and there's the truth. And you got to hear both sides to get to what really happened. Because even if you're being 100% honest, you still come from an angle or from a perspective. You know what I'm saying? So there's always a level of, okay, let's at least hear what happened and kind of weigh it versus the, oh, this person said something there instantly. Because like there's the whole, oh, believe all women. I get that there's a history of women not being believed, but we can't deny that there are women who lie about stuff.
Yep.
And I'm like, we could take that back as far as Casey Anthony. We could take that back to Emmett Till's situation. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's a documented history of this going on too.
And I think a lot of guys too in general have also faced those things where like, you know, if another person feels for whatever reason that they're wronged by you, then they, you know, say something against you. I know there was a girl that I dated that she broke up with me, but wanted to get back together with me. And I didn't want to, at which point she proceeded to say that she was pregnant by me. So we had to get back together. And I was like, what?
You're like, that's not.
And this was post vasectomy, so I was like, how is this even possible? But yeah, it's like I'm like, so I've had that experience where it's like, I've had experience where like I got lied on. So it's like, so when I hear these situations, my first thought is like, if that happened, that sucks. I need more proof. I need to hear things and see things because I've definitely seen in the news and in my own personality where like those things happen, where those lies come up, and nobody wants to believe the person until like years later. It's like, oh, they weren't lying. Our bad. Oh, Emmett Till's dead. Oh, well, it happens. She lied. Whatever. Like,
it's too late now. There's no need to deal with it at this point. It happened. It's over. Like,
it's over. That was years
that's
ago.
a whole thing.
Yeah.
And like you said, because people tend to overreact. Something, like I said, initially, my reaction to this was, oh my God, this is so heinous of a situation. Like, this dude gonna have problems. And like I said, imagine if it's your family member saying this to you. Or in this case, your family member who posted online to the world.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just, oh, I told my uncle, I told my dad, I told my cousin. Like, you just told Earth.
And now
the planet now has it. You know what I'm saying? So somebody out there is now looking at him and will never, ever, no matter what happens, change their opinion of him. You see what I'm saying? Like, she could admit, you know what, I lied. Oh, he paid her off.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't matter once the accusation's out.
Or like nobody comes back and does the research. Like, oh, she actually said that she made the whole thing up. It's like they never hear that part. They just get mad and then go on to the next thing. And then it's like every time they see him from now on, they're mad. And it's like, but you never heard her say that it didn't happen, or that it's not quite the way it happened that she thought it did, or whatever. Like,
and this is the thing about it to me is like people's reactions are so crazy because it's not even always real life stuff. Like the most recent Captain America, the new Captain America and Falcon and Winter Soldier, they said Marvel fans are giving him death threats because of his character. His character on a show did something, like, and people are reacting to him.
He's supposed to be an a-hole we don't like.
He's just being a good actor. And he's kept, you know what I'm saying? Like, this happens all the time when you have a great villain on a show on some fake stuff. So if you to accuse somebody of something real in real life, I'm over here like, to me, I see this being, I can't claim to understand everybody's motivations, but I'm just like, I would think there would have been steps before this. I would have thought there would have been, it's like, oh, I tried to text me back. Okay. On the one hand, that could be seen as motivation to let me escalate this to embarrass him publicly.
Yeah.
There's the whole scenario of, they were saying the timing. This is supposedly, 2 years ago?
Yeah.
And then he's like, oh, he has a fight coming up this week. He's in the limelight. This is a great time for me to say this thing. And so it's not even so much of don't believe her. It's this is detrimental to your story. You know what I'm saying? This is not helping you look like a credible
and how you're saying, like, this is like, if you're going to come out of this all the time to do it, it just seems suspect you would do it. Again,
you know what I'm saying? Wait till after. You know what I'm saying? Okay, he's got all the limelight on him now. Do it next week so that you don't have this as a blockade to people's believing what you're saying.
Yeah.
Little stuff like that I don't think people, like, why is there no one there to help her take this into account? You're in the limelight. You should have people. You should have a team. You know what I'm saying? You should have publicists or something that's like, hey, let's handle this. Let's file a police report first. You know what I'm saying? Let's gather evidence. Let's get some other testimonies from other women who he's done this to. Yeah. Because that's the thing. Typically, this isn't a one-off type of situation. Oh, especially somebody famous.
Yeah. Speaking of that, I have his statement pulled up. I'm not going to read the whole thing because he basically said he didn't do it. This is fault, yada, yada, yada.
Right.
The part of this where he said, where is it? Oh, yeah. He says, at the time of her story, I was in a relationship, and as someone who was a mama's boy growing up, I respect women and mothers more than anything. I most certainly have never laid a finger on a girl without the consent. Now, there are videos of him like spitting on women and, do whatever. But the point is this, that somebody pointed out that sounds very similar to like a white person saying, oh, I have black friends, so I can't be racist. How do you feel about that statement? Like, oh, I'm a mama's boy and I have friends.
Well, real quick before that, I will say that there are now other people. I sent this to you kind of late. I don't know if you saw it, but so she said part of her motivation was there's another younger, or I guess underage girl who's accusing him. Okay. And then there's another lady who was like, that statement of, oh, I would never touch a woman. She's like, okay, that I can say. Yeah, so it's a little too blanket. It's a little too. Yeah. And once again, there's levels to it. It's a difference between touching someone without consent and mouth raping them on your bed. Like there's a bit of a
a little bit.
I don't like, maybe I'm wrong because there's people that's like, consent is consent, but it's just like he touched my shoulder. I'd say is a bit more forgivable than this scenario. You feel me? Like there's a lot of I don't know, like, and to lump it all together to me seems counterproductive. It's just one of those like, yeah, okay, the scenario sounds terrible. But the other thing I'm looking at too, because once again, I'm like, okay, if this is somebody I care about, I want you to understand the scenario you're putting yourself into in these situations. Once again, not saying anything should be okay, right? But it's preventative. You know what I'm saying? Like the martial arts self-defense side of things. I'm like, it doesn't matter who you are, what you look like. What's taught is keep your eyes open walking down the street. You know what I'm saying? When you walk to your car at night, you're not on your phone because that's looking like a victim. Now, is it your fault if you get jumped? It's not your fault, but could you have done something to prevent it? That's kind of where I'm coming from.
I was kind of thinking about that, honestly. Like, I know there's, women will hate the narrative of like, oh, well, I should be able to do what I want and go where I want, and guys should just have self-control and yada, yada, yada. My thing was, though, like the fact that she even went to his bedroom and like, because I try to tell my women friends this, where it's like, yes, a guy should always respect you, but understand if you're doing certain actions, we're reading that in certain ways. If we say, come to our room and you say, I'm going to go, most men are going to assume stuff's going to happen. That doesn't mean they should force it on you and they should be in control of themselves, but there is an expectation that they have. And I don't understand why more women don't understand that or just don't want to get that that's the thing that
it's more the modern mindset of like, there shouldn't be a consequence to this type of thing. I should be free. I should live in a world where society respects everything and these things don't happen. And the sad truth is that's just not the real world. You know what I'm saying? It's not excusing it. It's just that's not how life works.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like there are people with ill intentions. There are criminals. There are just dirty people. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, then there also are people who are in confusing scenarios and situations and stuff starts to go wrong. You see what I'm saying? Where it's like, I came up in the church, and in the churches, you can't be in the room together alone. Just, you don't worry about this type of stuff. Like, oh, he did this to me in the room. No, because y'all were never in the room.
There's no setup for it. Yeah.
There's no potential for this to happen. You feel me? Same thing. My parents were like real strict about that coming up. It's like, oh yeah, no, there's no one of the opposite sex in your room at the same time. You know what I'm saying? We might have to adjust that a little in this day and age. But, hey, it's just the way things are. But it's just one of those like, I'd say it would be a better choice. I'll put it that way. It'd be a better choice to stay in the group part. You know what I'm saying? She says she got to the house and it was a group of people. Right. They were all laughing, joking, having fun. They were in the studio. He's texting her. Like she's talking about how he doesn't have, he doesn't really know how to talk. He seemed real out of touch with social skills, all the rest of that kind of stuff, which is like, okay, that's not a good sign. But to me, then there's the whole part of like, oh yeah, we were like making out and kissing. So then her thing was like, when I was like, oh, I don't want to go any further. Like, well, why can't we just be friends? This isn't unfamiliar to me, but I'm just like, I don't make out with my friends. I don't sit there and mouth kiss the homegirl. You know what I'm saying? Like there's certain lines that are there that keep that from getting mixed up. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, if it's not somebody you're trying to pursue romantically, why are you going to this level with it? It's like, oh, well, I'm young and having fun. Yeah. Okay, but just understand you're in a realm now. You know what I'm saying? Like for it to be like, oh, we just kissed for an hour. I didn't think he'd want to have sex with me. Like,
and that's where I get into like how much education. I'm thinking either women are like really just don't really know how guys operate, or they're just like, well, I can do what I want, and then if they don't want to listen to me, well, then they're going to face consequences. And they don't want to face consequences, so they'll just do what I want. And it's like, for some, not everybody, but some guys, once you get that motor running, it's like they're expecting to go to the finish line. And again, not to say that they need to force themselves, because I'm very much for like, if a woman says stop, even if it's frustrating, you got to stop. But like, again, what are we teaching women about this? Because I think about it like this. I'm a black dude in America. I know I can go anywhere I want to in this country, but I also know there are some towns that if I drive through and see certain signs, even though I'm a free citizen, maybe it's not the best idea to stop for gas in this town. Maybe I'll just go into the next town where I don't feel like I'm
whatever do you mean, Eric? This is a free society. You should be able to travel as you wish. And if somebody has a problem with that, there are laws in place that are enforced by police. Oh, sorry.
Exactly. Yeah. Sorry. And that wasn't even taught to me. That's just some stuff that I just picked up on my own being in this country. Like, oh, this is just things that as a black person, I should be able to do things. That doesn't mean I always can. So I think that women's like, yeah, you should be able to go to a guy's room and not have anything happen. But realistically, you don't set yourself up to test that out either.
And that's the thing too, because part of her story was like, I've done this before. I've gone to guys' rooms and nothing happened. I'm like, that is wonderful. I'm so glad that is what you're used to. That should be how it is. However, if I go swim in the ocean every day for a year, and on 360th day, a shark bites me, I can't be like, I don't understand. I always go swimming in the ocean. I can't understand why a shark bit me this time. When people be like, but there's sharks in the ocean, right? Like,
you gotta understand there all the time. Yeah.
Like, it's still a possibility, even though it shouldn't happen. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's no reason for a shark to attack you, period. But
if you're not swimming in shark-infested water,
if you're not in the water, and I'm like, if you are in the water, okay, you should know what to do if there's a shark. Is what I'm saying. If you choose to swim in shark-infested waters, be aware of how sharks operate.
Yeah.
So same kind of thing. Like,
I think the whole self-responsibility thing is like very much lost at times, especially like in today's where it's like, you know, like I don't know. I have many thoughts about that on its own, but anyway, where were you trying to direct the conversation to go? Because I know that.
Well, we kind of circled around today for a little bit, so we covered most of it. The only thing with it left really is, people. I hear the narrative so much. I hear the conversation of like, don't teach women to be safe, teach men not to be whatever. And I'm over here like, I don't know many men who are taught to be rapists. I don't know many fathers who are like, look here, son, this is what you're gonna do. Now, I've heard some bad advice. I will say that I've heard some poorly given tactics.
Push through the no, and like there
is some of that out there, but just that's not what this was. If this accusation is true, this is not that scenario. This was blatant, violent, and to me, that's where I'm like, the description isn't something that would warrant an apology. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, if I believe her flat out, no question, I don't want him to apologize. I want him in a jail somewhere. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
That's why I'm like, we got to be careful with this, because the other side of it is, I don't think she's looking at consequence. She doesn't have to put him in jail. The state can prosecute him for this. They can be like, oh, this is terrible. Other people can come after him for this. You see what I'm saying? Like, there's other levels to it. Not only that, like, say, oh, I don't want to ruin his career. You did. Like, there's not much left. If this is proven, that's a wrap. Like, there's nothing left. People saying the wrong words.
Even if it's not like sponsors or people that are supporting him, it might just be like, well, it sounds like a thing. So until it's proven that it's not a thing, we're gonna just not talk to you at all. And that could mess them up for like months or years before it's even a thing that's, if it ever gets finalized at all. You know, suppose this comes out and then nobody decides to prosecute him to prove anything. You now have a whole side of the population that's like, he did this thing and he's automatically ruined without ever going to court. So the court of public opinion basically.
Court of public opinion. Yeah. And that's why I like my man's video, because he was like, dude, you submitted this to the court of public opinion. You made me the judge. You made me the detective. And my detective skills are saying this ain't adding up correctly. Mm-hmm. He was like, I did the physical motions. Like you said, this is what happened. He said, I went through the motions. I got up on the bed. And he was like, I don't see how this fulfilled said requirement for said outcome specifically in said time frame. He was like, it didn't line up right. And I was like, because like I said, when I first heard her, I was kind of like, oh, dang. I've heard this dude's name, twice? Like for the boxing match, and he's the other dude brother. Like, I don't know this guy. I'm not on his team. I'm not rooting for him. Like, I don't know nothing about none of these people. But this isn't the first one, and it's not going to be the last one. It was just like, it keeps happening, it keeps coming up. And I'm like, every time we have a scenario like this, I'm like, ladies, we're in the midst of this whole Me Too movement. This whole, like, oh, I didn't feel comfortable saying anything. Like, in this day and age, I don't know at this point. Like, I wasn't comfortable saying it. Like, today, the second you say it, you know what I'm saying? Like, she said it was even evidence. She said after it was over, she tried to go to the bathroom and like redo her makeup. Her makeup was smeared, all the rest of that. Take photos of that. You didn't take no selfie outside. You didn't have a friend out there like, oh my God, girl, what's wrong with your makeup?
All her evidence is like, oh, we had a text conversation. Oh, this is his room. Nothing there was like, that would have been the first.
It was like, I was at the bathroom
and be like, oh, my mic's messed up. Or like, oh, this is what my jaw looks like. And like, it's none of that. And
that's also, there should have been physical. And if we go on police route real quick, if we went the police route, if this just happened accordingly, he finished within her body. There's evidence. You go to the police station.
I was wondering, like, did she swallow? Did she spit? Like, she didn't say it.
It don't matter. There's little hairs. There's physical evidence. You are in jail today. Game over. You see what I'm saying? 2 years later, how is there going to be evidence of anything? Yeah. You saying like, what do you want to happen from this?
And also, like, she knew where he lived. So, like, hypothetically, like a month later, when she was trying to contact him again with that weird "Hi, how you doing?" text, like, she could have been like, "Look, this is the house that happened at. This is what happened. Can you all go in there and do a swipe?" My DNA.
I don't doubt she was there. I don't doubt she walked through the house. I'm like,
I'm saying she could have directed the cops where to go. Like, I know she said like, "Oh, I signed an NDA, so I was worried this and that." You could have looked that up because it's the internet. You can look that up to see if that's actually a thing, and then also. Again, the Harvey Weinstein stuff happened in part because all these women that signed NDAs came out. clearly this is not a thing that we're following now. And that was on the news all over the place. I don't know how you missed that. But like, again, if this is something that happened.
And that's the thing too with her friend. She said she told the friend's like, oh, I'll talk to him. That friend's gonna have to come to the table. That friend's gonna have to say what happened. You see what I'm saying? Like at a minimum, we need to hear from the friend because that is your only real credibility right now.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like that's the thing is like it can't just be somebody made an accusation and throw the book at them. Like that's why the court of law exists. That's why we have the due process with all that. So my thing is like, look, ladies, if something happens to you, there are repercussions. There are people who will do something about it. Say something right then. Don't fall for the okie doke. Don't fall for the, oh, I signed this or I don't want to look. If something like to that level happened, like once again, this wasn't he grazed against my butt walking at a party. You feel me? Like that's offensive level enough these day and age to where you can get canceled because oh my God, he touched my butt at a party. That's what this should have been. Announcing it 2 years later. Not, I can't say it the way it is. It's not even just, assaulted. Like assaulted is a technical term. This was brutal. Like, bro, like I want to whip this dude's ass if he did this. You feel me? Like, like I'll throw hands with if you did this let's go right now. Because it's so far, it's so ridiculous. Like, I don't want you thinking this is okay. I don't want you thinking a team of lawyers is going to protect you after this.
Yeah.
Seriously? Because at some point, you are going to run across the wrong person. You are going to sit there and go too far with somebody who either knows some shit or knows somebody who knows you and is willing to say something. So if you've done this multiple times, it's going to catch up to you.
Yeah.
And if you did this once, you went that far your first time, your first offense was to grab the hand. And
also,
like, how comfortable do you have to be to do some shit? Like,
I was like, not making light of the situation at all. But the fact that she was like, part of the reason I felt violated because I only reserved that act as a special thing for, I've only done it with like 3 people. Okay. But also like, are people really saving the oral act like that for a special occasion, like for special purposes with a special person? Like I've never heard that before. Like I said, she came across as like a little innocent, naive side of things. Part of the believability. I actually had to look up her age because I was like, how old is she? This was 2 years ago. Was she underage at the time? Because that adds a whole other factor to it. She's 24. So it supposedly was when she was 22. Okay.
I'm like, I don't know. She said she wasn't famous back then. Like the whole whatever TikTok star thing happened later.
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe she was kind of sheltered in the house, didn't really know. But it's like the whole like, oh, come hang out at the studio. That kind of comes with some, I don't want to say expectations, but it's got a reputation to it to go hang out at the dude's studio.
And that goes back to the whole again, like because what I really don't like is like when women are using their naivete or whatever it's called as an excuse to like, oh, I just didn't know. And maybe that's because like as a black man in America, I don't have the affordability to not know stuff. Like I've been in studios where I know there's going to be probably cocaine and weed there. I got to know going in, these things are going to happen. When they happen, do not partake. It's a very simple thing. I just know not to do these things. But like somehow it's like I always feel like it's 2 things. It's like women want to be treated as though like they're smart and intelligent and that they need to be respected because of their high intellect, whatever. But then these things happen, they just get so dumb sounding. Like you didn't know what you did, what with who. You allowed this thing to go to this situation, like, and that's where I get bugged.
She
like
slipped, fell, landed.
Yeah, because I don't want to be the guy that's like, oh, don't believe women and just blah blah blah. But also,
never that.
But I want to be like, you're supposed to be the ones that are saying you're smart and you want to be in these things, but then you're making these dumb decisions and you're acting like you don't know stuff. How do you not know stuff? It's the 21st century. We have internet. You can look stuff up. You can look up men and women.
You've never seen any of these Me Too stories that these other women said because there's millions of them now. Like they're all over the place. You never saw any of these scenarios that any other women went through. Yeah. Nobody no mentor, no nothing. Nobody was like, hey, you probably shouldn't be in this type of scenario. And you're like, oh, I'm gonna just go do it. It's not that big a deal. Oh, let me just, I'll go make out with this dude who's socially awkward. Oh, yeah, I'll go be alone with him in his room.
Dude, I kid you not. When I was doing Uber driving, I remember one time I picked up these 2 girls, and this one girl was like saying, talk to her girlfriend. So we're going to stop by this one place and get some cocaine, and then we're going to go party with these guys that I just met. And my first thought was, I hope nothing happens to you. The guy needs to be in self-control, but why are you putting yourself into that situation? You're going to go get drugs, go to see some guy you just didn't know, and then hope that things work out for the best.
So here's my thing with this too, because we're still talking about how men need to be raised better. My thing is, okay, you've got average guys, you've got regular dude and like date rapey scenario type stuff. You also have serial killers who exist in this world. This is a real life thing, like Jeffrey Dahmer and all that. That actually happened. These aren't movies. This isn't some just like somebody made up a story and wrote it. These people lived all the way back to like Jack the Ripper and all. You know what I'm saying? Like there's real life serial killer people who will target people and take them and do some foul craziness. And I don't know, like maybe I've been overexposed coming from a self-defense type of background, but I'm over here like, you can't just be everywhere with everybody. You know what I'm saying? Like I need somebody to vouch for somebody. I need somebody to know somebody. Like I'm a big dude who knows some stuff, but I'm gonna sit there and do a background check. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, okay, who's this? Where'd they come from? Why do we know them? Where are we going? Like I got some questions. And that's just the mindset of like, I don't want to be in a scenario I don't want to be in. And I'm somebody who feels like I can get out of a scenario I don't want to be in typically. But there's some scenarios I can't get out of. And I'm aware of that.
We've been in a few, we were making out of this.
That's the other thing too. If I'm in a scenario I'm uncomfortable in, I'm gonna leave the scenario. You know what? I'm gonna just go ahead and there's a what my mama calling. I gotta go home real quick. Let me just get the out. Her thing was, okay, once I said I didn't want to do anything, he could have gone a different way. He could have kicked me out. It would have been a jerk move, but he could have told me to leave. He could have done this, he could have not. What could you have done? Could you not have stood up from the very compromised position of laying on your back on the bed?
But that's putting
to start walking towards the door.
We can't do that. That's hers. We can't put responsibility on them. That's not like on that bed.
I don't know. It's just like, but that's the I know several women who have been in scenarios where they're like, yeah, I felt uncomfortable with this dude. I figured out a way to maneuver it. You ain't got to try to fight it, dude. Like there's people like, oh, you could have done this. You could have hit him. You got to do all that. Just kind of somewhere, this isn't going this direction. I feel uncomfortable. Let me stand up. That would have dented that whole thing in the first place because now he can't jump on top of you.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Just get up off the bed. You're still comfortable.
She didn't say, I said, I don't want to do this. And I proceeded to try to get up. She's like, I don't want to do this.
Because as I'm listening, I'm picturing her at least seated in position.
I thought if he was going to grab her face and do what he did, that she'd at least be sitting up. No, she said she was lying flat.
That would have made a lot more sense to me, to be real with you. I could have been like, oh my, and you're just in shock. And it was so fast. That would have made sense. The laying on the bed. That's why I was like,
yeah.
Because now I don't want to be graphic because it's graphic in my head. It's the
gymnastics. Like, how are these gymnastics working out to where he did a full jump somersault and somehow landed in a position where he could actually.
It don't have to be that. It could have been like a step across. Like, dude did go a little extra with this somersault thing, but like you can actually just physically get on it and go over. But at that point, you've got a grown man's weight pressing down. That's why I was like, that would have damn near killed you. Like. The description is what got me. Like, that's not and I'm like, how is he getting anywhere from? Like, what is he getting out of that? Like, that isn't. We got to go there since we PG-13 R level. Typical sexual assault scenario is vaginal, right? The difference with an oral assault is there's these things called teeth.
Yeah.
That can accidentally graze and cause a sheer pain to just dead that whole scenario.
Let alone you're thrusting out as hard as she says he was.
Housewife, how? I'm not because dude was like, oh, somebody's like, what about you can just bite? You ain't gotta bite nothing. Let it scrape. Oh. You telling me that scenario led to a quick
yeah.
That means this dude is
not even saying I don't want to believe her. I'm just saying I need the details of how that happened because, like,
that's why I'm like,
cannot picture that right now.
If this is what happened, this dude need to be under a jail somewhere. Underneath, we sending his ass to Guantanamo for this. That's how I feel. I'm like, you give me 3.5 pieces of evidence, and he going to Guantanamo. You know what I'm saying? You give me a little bit. If the jury convicts, we putting him underneath this is ridiculous, but. Yeah.
He's coming out strong. He's coming out so strong about this didn't happen. He's like, so like I'm be interested to see what the suit actually is that he brings forth because
he already said it's defamation of character, libel, slander, that whole thing. It's like you besmirched my good name for no.
I mean, I want to see the numbers. Like, what numbers he talking in terms of suing her and stuff. Like, I need the whole. Man.
I mean, I don't even know if it's about the numbers for him. He's just like, I just need this proof that you're full of shit because it's.
Yeah.
Once again, if it was a low level offense, she's like, I want an apology. All right, I'll apologize for grabbing your butt at a party. Okay, no problem. For this level, you want me to say I did this and I'm sorry. Like, it's just gonna be ended, right? That's it. It's just over. Like, are you? It's like she doesn't understand the consequence to either thing, which is why. And I've heard scenarios like this before where women will accuse a man of something outlandish, and then the consequences hit her. Like, oh, I didn't think it was going to be that. It's like, what do you think happens to people who do this type of stuff? That's why it's such a harsh. Like, no, we need to know because we know what we about to do to him. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm not a very violent type of person. I'm not somebody who wants to go around fighting people all the time. Like, if I can avoid a fight all day, and I'm over here like I want to beat him up, like. Yeah. For somebody who is violent, who likes to fight, like that uncle I was talking about, or that cousin, or that brother, they might just take him out. They might just be like, "That's a wrap. You gotta go," because that's the world they live in. And just by you saying it, and it's not like, "Oh, we're just trying to be too harsh." This has physically happened in this world, Emmett Till.
Yeah, this
has and does happen where people are taken to accountability for stuff. And that's why it's like where, like you said, right now it's alleged. We don't know. There's no way for us to know at this point. It's just one person's word against the other. Yeah. But what I'm saying is you put the stakes so high. You see what I'm saying? I'm like, it's so much on the table right now. And it's just like, I don't want to believe it because, like, damn, that's a lot.
Even making the video is just still like, it's still coming from a place of being naive because it's just like, I don't want things to happen to him. It's like, but something could happen. Like, even in your statement, the way you're doing it, you're being naive in how this is going about. Like, you just have no idea of, like, if he did this thing, he should face consequences, but there's legal ways to do this without just being like, I'll put on YouTube. I just want an apology. Like,
there's a process. There's a due process. It's like, this is what you coming at him with. And once again, I'm like, the timing makes you look back. Plain and simple. Yeah. When you did it, how you did it. We can't really say the why because we don't know why, but it's just one of those like if you're not gonna say something about it, then okay, that's a decision. That's the other one. It's like you got to be held accountable for your decisions. You see what I'm saying? It's like if you decided to make a decision, there's some accountability to that, and that's what we're trying to get away from. It's like, oh well, I shouldn't have to be accountable for this because blah blah blah. It's like that's not how that works.
Not how this works at all.
But we're teaching a lot of women that it is. That's like, oh well, I just did a thing. It shouldn't be that big a deal. You know, don't worry about it.
Like, I felt in the moment that this was the thing. It's like, but your feelings don't account for the fact that there's going to be consequences to if you decide to change your feelings later, it's too late.
Like when I first came into this, I was expecting we were hanging out. We went to his room. He got a little too handsy. He tried to. I said no. He pushed through. Mm-hmm. And from there, like I don't know, either I hit him and ran off or it just is a thing that happened. Like he got on top of me and had sex with me. And I was like, oh no, this sucks. Like it's horrible, but that's not this. Like, that's what I couldn't get past. Like this is, it was a description of a sadistic level action. It wasn't a pleasure seeking action. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, it was, that's what I can't get past. Like if she had just described a typical date rape, okay, he wanted to apologize, I get it. Or like I said, he attempted to and it didn't work out. And then he pushed a little further and you hit him or bit him or something and ran out. Yeah, he need to apologize for that. Like, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's picture this was a dude.
Okay.
Just pick a dude. Just pick a random whoever. Okay. And the same scenario happens. They're hanging out. Hey, bro, we're gonna play some video games. And he's like, hey, dude, you too close. I'm gonna just do it. He pulls it out, turns around, grabs this dude. Do you buy it? Do you buy the scenario that the dude laid there and was like, oh no, I don't know what's happening. He grabbed my head. It don't have to be a big dude. It don't have to be a strong dude. It don't have to be The Rock.
Nothing. Yeah.
Picture like, say Michael Cera. Michael Cera is not the toughest dude in the world. Do you think Michael Cera is just like, I don't know what happened. I just got. And you can't say it would never happen to a dude because there are gay men. There are aggressive gay men. There are just dudes who want to overpower somebody. Like there's plenty of cases out there where you hear. That's why I'm just like, if you take the gender out of it, does the scenario still play out in your head?
Interesting. I don't think it does. Not again, but I mean, to be fair, like, ideally a guy would be able to overpower the other guy, but there's weak dudes and strong dudes too. So it's like, yeah, would that be a thing where he wouldn't fight back at all? Like They wouldn't do nothing.
And no disrespect to Michael Cera. Like, for all I know, he could be like a jiu-jitsu black belt and whip everybody out. I don't know. I'm just saying, when I think of his roles in movies, I don't think he's going to be sitting there whipping people out.
Yeah.
But if you said The Rock, it's The Rock. Of course, nothing like that would happen to The Rock. You see what I'm saying? But it's like...
No, it's true. Hey, for anyone...
certain people, you're like, that's not... Yeah, you pick somebody equal size, equal weight. You just... The mentality is like, oh, well... just people just do all this stuff and a woman's not going to lie. No, that's not true. There are plenty of women. Once again, okay, let's take gender out of it. Ronda Rousey.
Oh, I mean, that's certainly bring gender back in, but like it's a flip.
No, let's bring it back. Change the person. Ronda Rousey. Do you see this scenario playing out in this way at all? Because she knows some shit. Jake Paul, date Ronda Rousey next. Try it out. Go ahead. Kick it with Ronda Rousey. See how that works out. We'll know real quick if he pushes stuff too far. See what I'm saying? I'm just being a jerk. Oh my God. I'm just saying stupid stuff at this point. Don't trip. Anybody out there? It's out of respect.
Anyone watching this, if you can explain to us like how that would work, where like if you're laying down on the bed and some guy just randomly decides to pull his stuff out and like gets down on you, how you would not be able to fight a grown man's thing going into your mouth and not bite it, have it scratch him. Like I'd love to hear that. Again, it's maybe we don't have the perspective. Maybe we don't have the perspective. Maybe we need y'all to tell us what's going on because I'm not picturing how that would possibly.
I've heard that in these type of arguments, not in real life scenario type of things. You know what I'm saying? Like it would be a more violent action. It would be a more controlled type of situation. It would be more of there was a weapon or there was pinning down ahead of time. Yeah. There was some sort of like I couldn't move, or even the whole I was scared and didn't know what to do. But I'm like,
we heard we didn't hear any choking. We didn't hear any like he was trying to threaten my life. He didn't.
That's the thing. Something being shoved would be choking. Like that's what got me. Like there's gravity here. There's a grown man's weight in gravity. There's no way that you're not choking. And this isn't like to be gross. It doesn't take much to that the first one should have been on some like, oh my God.
I don't know, 30 seconds. So you went without breath for 30 seconds. You're saying like, again,
like watch any MMA match and look at a full mount with a person that's on top of another person, the angles, your hips are forward.
Yeah.
So either the head is being pulled up to match that or the hips are facing down. Either one, you can't breathe, period.
Yeah.
So once again, the sitting on the side of the bed thing would have played a lot better. Wouldn't be asking all these questions. I'll be like, dang, that sucks. It's crazy. But I get it. That's what I'm saying. If this is what happened, he cannot be allowed to walk around our society as a normal person because you've taken this to a whole nother level, period. And if not, that's a lot to put on somebody. You know what I'm saying? Like, and now is that to say he didn't do anything, that he didn't take it too far? We don't know.
I know he definitely say something.
I honestly think he probably did something. He probably did violate her, and it probably is something punishable. I think, if I'm giving my honest opinion, he did something that was a violation, a punishable offense, and she exaggerated it.
Interesting.
So that's one of those like they would both be wrong because we always look at it like, oh, this one's right or that one's right. It's this side or it's that side.
Right.
So
it's always like
we'd have to get to that. What actually happened? What is the truth part of this?
Yeah, I think part of it too is like people are afraid of like, oh, if we try to find out the truth, it's victim blaming. Yeah, it's like, no, it's just saying realistically, there's a story that happened here, and we need the facts of the story in order to make a better sound judgment about this thing, whether he was fully in the wrong or whether she was partially in the wrong. Like, because who's to say that she wasn't doing something partially wrong, or maybe she wasn't? We don't know. But it's like,
and that's the thing. I'm like, even if it is a lesser offense, she should still be able to come forward with whatever that was. You see what I'm saying? Like, if he tried something, she said no, she pushed him off, and then they left and went back. Or let's say she started to and changed her mind, and he forced the issue to continue going, which is realistically what tends to happen in these type of scenarios. And it's like, oh, well, I can't say that because they won't believe me or they'll blame me for it, so I'm going to just say it went this way.
Right. That
is so much more detrimental. It's just like, oh, God, no.
Like, it's part of like going from like, oh, we're making out to like, oh, we could just be friends. Like, wait, what? Like, that's confusing.
That was really why I wanted to have this conversation. Like, I didn't really want to go into the detail of the grurdiness of all of this. It's just, I don't know how to avoid it because, damn. But just,
like,
ladies,
like, we're gonna make
ladies, please don't kiss your friends. Don't mouth kiss your homeboy and think that he's going to think you're still his homeboy. That's not.
Yeah. Because even if it's like he's thinking we could just be friends, it's still like, but now we also have the option of hooking up because this has been introduced into the situation. So
it's just like keep it in that realm. You know what I'm saying? Like just keep it.
Yeah.
If that's, and the other one is like, oh, you want to switch it? Like, oh, I want to do all this, but when it gets uncomfortable, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm just gonna.
No,
but you're my friend.
I had to straight up get rid of a friend because we were friends for like years. Like we went to the same college together and whatever. And she had a scenario when she invited me over to do some cuddling, and I was like, "What?" Like I didn't initiate this, but like we went to her house, went out, had a good time. We got back to the house, and she set up the bed for us to actually cuddle up. And I'm like, "Oh shoot, we're cuddling up!" So I start trying to like, make like at least move to kiss her cheek, and she's like, what are you doing? Like, oh my, we're just friends. What's up? I'm like, this cannot be a thing. No, because you're now crossing those boundaries and you're introducing things into this that are beyond friendship and saying you just want the friendship. I can't do that.
It's expectation and it's communication. You know what I'm saying? Like if it's communicated clearly, once again, consent. Did you consent to just cuddle? Did you consent to say this is all we're going to do? It wasn't brought to the table. She didn't ask you what you want. She didn't ask for your opinion on it. She just was like, hey, I'm going to set this scenario up in my mind and he's going to comply with my wishes without me having to say anything. No, it's not how that works. So then you had to set a new boundary to say, we're not going anywhere near this, which is where I'm like, okay, the typical scenario is if there is any intention for a sexual scenario, it's escalation. We're going to start here, slowly try to see and work our way there. So my whole thing is, communicate early. Hey, I don't want to go that route. Okay, I want to go a little bit that route, but not really go that route. I want to kind of go this far and then say I don't want to go that route. Not I want to go a little bit this far and then send you to jail forever because you with me. What? Like, I don't get it. I don't get it. Like, at some point you have to communicate, which she did. She did say, no, that's not what this is going to be. But I feel like she did it too late. She did it late in the game. Like, don't make out with dudes you don't want to date or be in a dating scenario with. Why are y'all?
Yeah, because again,
I don't get that.
We gotta be in control, but y'all shouldn't be like poking the dog either. Like, I just don't understand. I mean, I understand where the whole thing of like, well, I should be able to do this, whatever. But it's like realistically, you guys, ladies, you got to learn. Like, we will be respectful of you. If you turn on the engine, some dudes can turn it off, and some dudes are not going to give you the scenario you want, and that's not fair. But that is the thing.
If she was pursuing those dudes, that'd be one thing. She went into a different realm. I'm now dealing with a celebrity who's probably used to, and she kind of made an allusion to this, she's probably used to girls doing whatever he wants. Okay, why would he automatically assume you're going to behave differently? That's what's throwing me off.
Yep. I didn't think about that.
Because I'm special. Okay, did you guys have this conversation? Did you communicate this in any way? Is there anything that should have triggered that thought for him, or is it just how you felt about yourself? Right. And that's the part I'm like, it's not to say she did something wrong, it's her fault. It's to say, learn from the scenario and don't let it happen again, because you do have control of that. You see what I'm saying? If it's like, I'm walking in the street, somebody hit me over the head, you didn't have control over that. I was in somebody's room and things got too crazy. You made some decisions. They're not your fault that it went that far, but there were some steps you could have taken.
Even the combo of just saying like, hey, so we can just make out, that's all I want to do, that's cool. That'd have been better to set that expectation than to be like just assuming you're gonna make out with him and then he's gonna be totally cool and not think it's gonna go further. Like most dudes assume if you're making out that heavy, you're gonna go further. So you gotta let that be known, because if you don't want to do that.
And she was kind of vague on the escalation from there. She was like, and then he was trying to kind of do some things to go like, okay, what were those things? You see what I'm saying? Like where
and how far do those things
get? What did you allow or not allow? Because it's like if it went from kissing to his thing in your mouth, that's a leap for anybody. You see what I'm saying? Like
literal leap.
But I'm like, any dude who like halfway knows anything about some game is like, bro, how you go that far with it? Like there's layers to this. You gotta go here, then here, then here, then here. Like you don't just bam us out. Like the hell? Like what's wrong? That's why dudes will react so strongly. Like, bro, what are you doing? Like you messing it. It's one of those things. If he did this, you messing it up for everybody.
Yeah.
A and B, you might come across my sister, my daughter, my cousin. Hell no. Because now I got to go to jail because you did some shit. No, like it's not how that's gonna work. We're gonna prosecute this according to the full letter of the law, so that this don't happen again. Because if they don't do it, I'm gonna have to see you, and I don't want to do that because they're gonna prosecute me to the full extent of the law, and I don't want to do that. You saw time to kill and shit. Like that's not cool. You know what I'm saying? He was like, the jury was like, damn, I understand why you did that. You see, but that's not how that's gonna play today. It's like, no, I understand why you did it, but you're still going to jail. I don't know nobody want to go to jail. So let's do this now. Let's make an example. He has to make an example of. because you went way too far if this is what happened. Which is the biggest problem with this conversation is we can't say what happened because we don't know what happened. She says this went to this level. He was like, that's all bullshit. That's all a lie. None of that happened.
And that there's a level in between of some stuff that happened, but it's just like, like we don't know. And because of public opinion, it's going to sway one way before the facts of everything even come out.
And then two, with her, I'm like, I don't want you to ask for an apology for what you described happening. I don't want that to be what you demand back. If you are 100% correct and everything is true, please ask for more than an apology for that. Like, no.
That seems like one of those things like siblings would do, like, oh, well, I told mom this and that because you did this to me, so now it's even. It's like, that's not really how you get even in this situation. This is a whole level of even you're trying to get. Like, you want an apology?
That's the type of stuff I couldn't get with it. Like, I can't wrap my mind around, I want you to apologize to me. That's something like you disrespected me. You embarrassed me publicly.
Is that gonna be okay? Like, okay, I'm sorry. Okay, I'm fine now. Do. I just got raped, but I'm fine.
Right? Like, is this over?
Like,
because once again, if you're my daughter and he apologizes for this, it's not over. You might think it's over.
Oh,
it's not over.
We also know apology culture in this country is one. If he apologizes, hypothetically, it ain't like the public's going to forgive him. Now it's going to get worse. But your apology wasn't good enough, and you said it, but you didn't say it the way I wanted you to say it. So it's like you don't even win with the apology.
To me, it's more the guilt factor. You see what I'm saying? Like, you've now admitted publicly to the world. Once again, something slight, yes, apologize. You did something that was wrong. If he did, this puts him in a scenario where he can't even address a minor level offense that did happen that was true. You see what I'm saying? Because she put the stakes so high. She's like, this is what happened.
Anything he does, like, see, that's a rape. Like, no, I just.
If he had just been like, oh no, we were in my room and things got a little heavy, and then she said she wanted to stop, and I went a little too far. Okay, so what she said is true. That's not what I said. You got to be so minute with, and it's gonna be seen as a lie because she threw the ball way up there, and I'm just like, bro, that's a lot. Like,
that's what the words are for. Yeah, because like, that's all bad. Yeah.
Like, maybe if she hadn't been as graphic, like, keep it a little mysterious at first, and then we can figure it out later when the details come out. But I don't know. I'm just like,
it's a like rape allegation is a tough situation for anybody. But like, like how you gonna tell it to people, how are you going to tell the people, and what details you're going to leave in there, what things going to, and going into it, like, you're going to be seen as unbelievable based on things you leave out or don't leave out or say or don't say. Like, it's, I don't see.
It really comes down to the court of law in a scenario like this, because this is illegal. This is very much a felony offense. Like, I don't think this is a misdemeanor. This is got to be up there. Assault, battery, rape. Like, this is, she's using the word assault, which is high level crime. Like, we're talking years. Women is looking at like 20. Like, bruh, 20, that what the hell? Like, this is, I don't know how far it goes. It's not murder, but it's like a step down. You feel me? Like, it's up there with it. I put it like this. Self-defense laws, you can defend yourself against life and bodily harm. This, I believe, would count in that bodily harm level rape assault. Okay. So like, had she had a gun on her, she probably could have shot him and walked free. Like, that level. Like, oh, he attacked me to this level, I shot him. Yeah. I'm gonna go ahead and throw Satonia Brown out there. Like, she went to jail for it, but they eventually were like, you know what? The assault was so bad. And dude didn't assault her. He didn't touch her against her will. She shot him, and they were like, we're gonna let her out. So for what this dude did, like,
at least push him down the stairs when you're going back. I mean, something.
What this dude is accused of. Let me clarify.
Yeah.
I don't know what he did.
Alleged. But
this accusation, like, that's why I'm like, don't exaggerate. If you exaggerate, don't exaggerate, because it hurts credibility and it sets the stakes way too high. Like, say as close to what happened, even if you don't think it's enough, it probably is what I'm saying. Just be 100 with it, and then don't be focused on like what's going to happen to the other person. You know what I'm saying? Just like, get the right people behind you. That's the thing, the allies. Had she found, like, whoever the lady is, I forgot her name, the lady who's coming out now, like, oh no, this isn't what it is. Like, had she found her earlier, she probably could have helped guide her through this process and had it, you know what I'm saying, dealt with quickly. Like, he could have already been seeing his punishment or whatever.
Yeah.
But just like I'm gonna sit on it. I don't want to say anything. And then it's been
2
years.
years.
It's been years, bro. Like
You know, and
he's
that's
probably
the
not
thing,
thinking
like,
about it no more. And there's
well, that's
no
the thing,
way to
like,
prove nothing. There's no
there's,
evidence
well, there's
left.
so many women that wait for so many years, and like, I understand the psychology behind that now, but it's just like it just doesn't help when you're timing for that. Not that there's ever any good time, but it's like I think about Jake Paul's had other high profile events and fights that came out since that allegedly happened. Why now?
Like why now? Yeah. Well, she said because it was the underage girl just said her thing. So I don't know. That hasn't come to light yet. We don't know much about that other than her saying
So
that
it's kind of like the Harvey Weinstein
accusing.
like, oh, like one person accused Harvey Weinstein. It's like, oh wait, we're gonna come out of the woodwork and do it too. And okay, so it's that whole thing of like they feel safe now because they're not going to be alone. That's the thing. I think I get that part of sense. Like they don't want to be the lone wolf out there saying this person did this thing if nobody is there to back them up. So they're going to get like.
I want to know who the friend was too. The dude she said that she told happened right after. Like, how much detail did you go into with this cat? Because if you told him everything that happened and he didn't help with this, like that's not your friend. I'm sorry. Yeah. I just you said what happened, and he was just like, "Oh, I'm gonna talk to him."
Yeah.
For that,
nah.
I just want to throw this one last thing in there as far as like how long people wait and what happens and all the rest of that. We already mentioned the Emmett Till situation and the lady who's involved with that and like was full confessed it was a lie, the whole thing. And they were like, oh, well, at her age, there's really not a reason to punish her for lying, which resulted in this man's death.
Yeah.
However,
they're still prosecuting Nazis.
The people who were accusing Bill Cosby was how many years ago? And
like a fraction, like a third of
a year. He still went to jail.
Yeah.
At the same age. He was maybe a year or two off from her. And it was one of those like, so this statute of limitation on sexual assault doesn't exist. But on lying about an assault, resulting in somebody getting murdered, that was in the past.
Black person getting murdered. Yes.
I'm
Because
just
black person allegedly raping these women, therefore it's okay for him to go to jail. Black guy that got accused of whistling at a white woman, but then he didn't do it. Well, it's let's hear her saying it's in the past.
She shouldn't be punished for intentionally lying on this man, resulting in his death.
And again, I can't stress enough: Nazis from 1945 that were in World War II were still getting prosecuted years later, and despite how old they are, they're finding new ones that are like, oh, you're in your 90s, but you're still going to jail.
It's just one of those things. It's just like they're not weighed the same because, like, oh, well, she didn't do anything to anybody. She just, didn't tell the truth. But the consequence will happen to another person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's kind of a shitty thing to say, but it's like someone who's raped is alive to tell their side of the story. Someone who's killed is fucking dead. Like,
yeah.
I don't see that being the same level. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're both way the hell up there, but like dead. Like, there's no additional life. Like, oh, she couldn't live a normal life. He couldn't live a life at all. Like, it's a wrap. It's over. Yeah. And that's the part where I'm like, even that out a little bit. That's all I'm saying. Just even that out. Put some consequences to where there shouldn't be false accusations because there is a consequence. And the same way, like there shouldn't be rape because there's a consequence.
And where people shouldn't feel the need to like women shouldn't feel the need to use that as a weapon. Like, oh, well, if he doesn't do what I like, then I'm just going to say he did this thing. Because that really is a weaponizing thing against guys if those things are not true.
Well, it's just starting to come to light, the whole Karen scenario. Like, there are now laws on the books for false accusations. Oh, this black man's attacking me and police come. Like, it's literally used as a threat. Like, oh, you took my parking space. Well, I'm going to call the police on you.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay, well, that's not that big a deal. No, you just threatened my life. You literally just threatened my life. And it doesn't seem like that. But the way we keep seeing these things happen, that's a death threat.
Yep.
That's crazy to me because, like, oh, I didn't think the consequences would be that bad. Well, what exactly did you say on the phone? Did you say you were in fear for your life? Because that means guns are drawn when they show up. Did you say he had a weapon? Because guns are drawn when they show up.
Yeah.
What exactly was your wording in your made-up story? Just let's get to the bottom of that.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. So it's just one of those, like, just be real. Just be 100, be honest. If there is a violation, it'll be taken care of. The only thing that's changing all of this stuff is actual video recording proof of all of it. Now we have evidence. Now we can see what really happened and see the blatant. So that's why I'm like, you know what, Jake Paul, I'm going to tell you this. Get you some security cameras and stuff around your public areas. You know what I'm saying? Everybody on this OnlyFans thing right now, you got them signing NDAs and taking pictures. You be like, hey, girl, we're going to do this for my OnlyFans. I need you to look into the camera and boom, 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 boom. Document everything.
We're going to play I consent.
I really feel like the consent thing should go all the way. You know what I'm saying? I need the written, I need the verbal,
that Dave Chappelle's gift needs to be a thing. Like, that needs
I
to be
need the whole,
form.
she takes a drink and I take it away. No, sign this first. Before you can have any of your Hennessy, I need you to sign sober. Look into the camera, show your ID. Just be a porn producer. Straight up and
pretty much. Yeah.
Because I'm like, why not? It's content for you and for her. You win, right? Why you tripping? Y'all both making money. You get a Kim K. Ray J sex tape out of the deal. Everybody happy. But other than that, all this socially awkward nonsense, Jake, I mean, I don't know what was up with that.
It's like socially awkward, but you still hung out with them. Socially awkward, but you still made out with them. Socially awkward, but you still went to his room. So clearly this wasn't...
Well, the texts were socially awkward as hell. I'll give her that. Like, I was like, what are you doing some weird stuff, bro? But I'm like, there's some mentors out there. There's guides. You know what I'm saying? There's gurus who can tell you how to talk to a woman and, you know, attract her in a way that will let you, you know what I'm saying, form a lasting relationship with her. You said you was in a relationship at the time. You call your girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, baby, come through because let me come over there. Busy at the studio. Whatever, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know what the scenario was. So I'm just like, we just need a better plan. We just need a better plan for everybody and to stop playing games and just, damn, like, can we all just get along? Can we all just, it just hurts.
Y'all heard our comments on this, so we'd love to hear what your thoughts are. Ladies, if you have any thoughts too, definitely leave them down at the bottom. We will be following this situation and see what develops. Hopefully the truth will come out and whoever needs to be punished for this will be punished and whoever's not needs to not be. But like, yeah, there's definitely something we'll be keeping an eye on because this is just...
Let me just make sure that's stated too. Like, that's really our point with this is that, like, we just want the truth to come out and whoever is supposed to be, we want an equal playing field. That's all that really is. It's just like, whatever happened sucks. And I wish this never happens to anybody.
Yeah.
But when and if it does, there needs to be like an appropriate way to deal with it. That's all we know. Yeah. And so running to the gram or the YouTube or the Twitter, TikTok, these ain't the places to handle this.
Really
That's just not. It's just not a good.
The kids that feel old. That's what the kids do today. Is they go to social media and say, "I've been hurt." Okay, that's great, but we still have. I mean, even though again, black guy cops, I get it. There's still legal ways to go about this that you can do without just going to a platform and just assuming that's going to happen. Like, protect yourself and get yourself, in the right scenario to get your best outcome. So. But yeah, that's all we got today, guys. Thanks for checking in for this. Thanks, Joe, as always. It's been a great conversation.
Yes, sir.
And we will catch y'all later. Peace.